In this video, we're going to look at solving with square roots. Now remember, in the previous unit, we talked about imaginary numbers and complex numbers. So when you see square roots or hear square roots, make sure you're remembering when you have a negative inside the square root, you have to use the imaginary I in order to simplify and solve those. Okay, so what we did last week is going to apply this week. All right, so solving with square roots means that we have an equation where we can set it up to be x squared, or it could have a coefficient in front, equals some number. Okay, so in this case, I can move my 64 over, add 64 to both sides, and that makes it x squared equals 64. Okay, this is when you want to use solving with square roots, because now that I have my squared and my x squared term equals a number, I can take the square root of both sides. Square root of x squared is x, and then the square root of 64, be careful with this, because what we're saying is the number that we choose, so most of you probably already have 8 in your mind, is this number times itself equals 64. Now don't forget, it could also be negative 8, because negative 8 times negative 8 is a positive. So make sure when you're doing your solutions for square root functions that you add that plus or minus, okay? Next one here, notice I have my 7x squared term, but I also have this plus 8. So I need to subtract 8 from both sides in order to isolate my x squared term, and 15 minus 8 is 7. Now I can divide both sides by 7, which gives me x squared equals 1. And this is enough evidence for me, you guys. You don't have to show me divided by 7 on both sides. And then we know the square root of x is going to be x, and the square root of 1 is plus or minus 1. Okay, these are my solutions. Go ahead, mark those, make them easy to find. Okay, last one. Again, here's my x squared term, so I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides to isolate that. 21 minus 5 is 16. Then we're going to divide both sides by 81, so x squared equals 16 over 81, and then we are going to take the square root of both sides. In this case, guys, remember your rules for radicals. You can do the square root of the numerator over the square root of the denominator, or the square root of the fraction. Okay, and then this is where Desmos might come in handy. Square root of x squared is x. And then the square root of 16 is 4, and the square root of 81 is 9. And then because it's a square root, we need to add that plus or minus. So my solutions would be plus or minus 4/9. All right, go ahead and do the check your understandings, finish up the activity, and I will see you in the next lesson.